If we don't see ourselves put any time into our dog, there is no point of getting a dog. They are not accessories, they are living creatures that demand a lot from us. So the first step when looking for a future dog is to step back and to look at our lifestyle in general, to see if we are an active family. Are we more a couch potato style family? What level of training do we want to do with our dog too? Do we only want to do basic training? Because important to note, all dogs will need training and all dogs will need time. So, but there are definitely some levels, some certain breeds that need a lot more training versus some that are a lot easier to train. So the first step would to be to look at our lifestyle and what do we want our dogs? Why do we want our dogs, first of all? And then from there, it would be to find a breed that would fit our criteria to our lifestyle. There's over 400 breeds of dogs. And like I said, a lot of people will purchase dogs because of their look or because they saw one or two of them in public that were well trained or looked really good. But it's important to note that when we bring a dog home, especially a puppy, we start from scratch. So these dogs are not born well trained. We make them that they're well trained. So if we look at the breeds of dogs in general, we have to research our breeds. We have to find ethical breeders with well-tempered dogs, and then go from there. So when we figure out what dog we would like to have, say we are a low back more relaxed family, and we want an easygoing dog that will be easy to train. So a breed of dog that I would recommend for that lifestyle would be maybe a Cavalier King Charles, which is a very cuddly, lovable dog, very easy to train. So once we realize what breed of dog we want, the best thing to do is now start contacting breeders, or even going to dog shows or dog events to meet the dogs in person, because sometimes it looks all well on the internet, but meeting a dog would be different. So once that happens, that we've decided on certain breeds, that's when we start meeting them. So first is to find ethical breeders, doing our research on making sure that the dogs are well in their head, well in their bodies, meeting the breeders, meeting the parents, seeing what these breeders are working towards. We could go to confirmation shows. There's plenty all over all the time. And meet dogs in action, even sporting events also, to meet them in action, and meeting the dogs in person to find their temperament, to just confirm your want for these dogs. Or what should I ask myself? It's like I said, it's looking back at our lifestyle and seeing if it matches, because we have to understand that once we get a dog, there's a huge dedication of our daily time, of our time in general, that is put towards this dog. And if we don't see ourselves putting that time and energy into these dogs, that's number one. It's not going to be a good match. So if we want that cute dog on the carpet in front of the TV that just doesn't do anything, we don't walk it, we don't train it, that would be a first red flag of maybe you shouldn't get a dog. Because even like I said, even getting a more senior dog that's more trained, that has its basis to them, still needs walks, still needs mental stimulation, still needs things to chew on. So it's just looking at themselves of what level of dedication could I put into this dog. These are living creatures. They need daily enrichment, and if we can, just that base of, if we cannot give that daily enrichment to our dogs, well, maybe we shouldn't be getting our dogs. But there's also status, bringing up wanting a dog because of a status of looking dangerous with a dog too. A lot of people will get more aggressive looking type of dogs for status. But that could also be a dangerous loop when it comes to dogs, or a dangerous rabbit hole, because a lot of people will badly train these dogs because they want these dogs for status and to look dangerous. The more common thing is people impulsively buying animals. That would be the biggest mistake that people do, is impulse buying animals, of not putting the time and research into these dogs. That's the biggest that's one of the biggest reasons why we see surrenders in shelters is impulse buying. It's the fact that people see cute dogs on the internet or they go to a pet shop and they impulsively buy them. They get wrong information. When you Animals shouldn't be impulsively bought or adopted. There should be a lot of time. Now, the first year, the biggest mistakes that people will do in the first year, because the first 2 years, but the first year in general is the more critical year for a dog. Sorry, is the more critical year for the dog, because that's when they're growing, that's when they're evolving. And what we do in that first year will vary on what we'll have as a future adult dog. And a lot of people don't socialize them properly, or they don't get their information properly. So they don't seek out professionals. They either go on the internet and they find multiple sources of information, and every source of information gives a different style of information. So that means their training style varies from style to style, because they're not guided by a professional, or they're not guided by one specific way of training. So when your training style varies, goes up to down in different styles, your dog is constantly confused when it comes to training styles. So that's one of the bigger mistakes, is that people don't seek out proper information, or they make it up on the spot, or they think they're doing good when they're doing bad for their dog. They don't properly socialize, or don't understand what it means to properly socialize a dog. Also important to know that dogs go their first year of life, they go through multiple fear stages. And the fear stages in dogs, their first year is very complex, and could make or break you as a dog trainer. But also, if it could make and break you as a dog trainer, it could definitely make or break you as an average Joe. So we see this a lot too in shelters, that people purchase puppies at a very young age. They do minimal work for the first 7 months, very basic minimal work, no socialization, basic training, but nothing more. And then towards the 7 to 8 month age, dogs start their teenage phase. And as we all know, teenage phases are very awkward and difficult for every species, even humans. So we could only imagine what it does to dogs. So once they enter their teenage phase, it becomes such a challenging moment for the handler. And a lot of people don't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they give up on their dogs instantly, and they surrender them, or they rehome them. But those are the bigger ones that we'll see, right? Is how we start our dog off. People won't properly do it, and then they give up the moment a problem arises. So when we get a dog, this is once again when I bring up to the point of we have to research and assure ourselves that we're getting the right thing. So even when it comes to researching the breeder or the shelter where we're getting our dogs from, we should also be researching canine facilities and dog trainers, because once we get a dog, we want to start training right away. And that's a lot of people don't understand that, and they think that training only starts around the 6-7 month age, and the first 6 months is easy peasy, when it's not. We should start preventive training as soon as possible. So once we get a dog, we make sure that we have everything aligned. We have our veterinarian aligned. We have our dog facility aligned. We also have our dog trainer aligned. So when the puppy arrives, or when the dog arrives, we're able to start the course of setting our dog up for success, and not setting our dog up for failure. So it all has to do with research and making sure that you're prepared from the start, before you get the animal, to make sure that your dog is set up for success. And that's a huge part of dog training, is setting your dog up for success, when a lot of people constantly set up their dog for failure and receive poor behaviors from their dogs, because they've never set their dog up from success from the get-go, which is a big part of it. The more you train your dog, the less you'll have to train him in the future. How stupid that sounds, but when we get our dog, we should be training them every day. Every day we should. And when people think of training, they think of sitting down, give the paw down, and all these things. These are just tricks, right? They're easy things to teach their dogs, but this is it's a form of training, but what I mean from an everyday training is teaching your dog to be good in a home environment, but also an outdoor environment. So we want a dog in a home environment that's able to settle, that's able to relax, not constantly wanting to play, not constantly wanting to do something, because we understand that in a home, we have our settle time of watching TV or just doing our own time, and we want our dog to settle next to us. So that's a first step. We need to teach our dog that. We need to teach our dog to be alone. That's a big one too, that a lot of people don't necessarily do at an early age. And it has to be done at an early age, because if we don't start from the get-go to teach them to be alone, we create separation anxiety or anxiety in a dog, and we don't want that, because most people do not work from home and have a 9-to-5 job, and they need to leave home. So, or just even people who do work from home, they will eventually have to leave and leave the dog alone. So that's another step that people don't do right away. We want dogs to be able to respect boundaries too. So not jumping on counters, not jumping on tables, have impulse, also patience. Dogs don't have that from the get-go. They want. We have to teach them things will come with time once I tell you everything is good. So these are 3 steps that need to be taught from the get-go, that are not necessarily the sit, the give, the paw, the down, that people lack or don't start from the start. And also when we go outside, when we bring our dog in public, we want our dog to be focused on us. We want our dog to not pull on the leash, not bark at people, not have explosive behavior when going on leash. We want a focused dog, and that starts from day one. So is training every week? No, training is a daily thing. But if you put daily training in your dog, at 3 years, you could diminish it, because we put so much investment in our dogs at an early age, that as they age, that investment that we put at an early age will pay off, and we won't have to train on a daily basis. We'll just have to give refreshments to dogs, right? Because if we stop training these dogs, it becomes forgotten memories for these dogs. So as they get older, we just do quick exercises to refresh them. But that's because that initial investment of training that we did the first couple of years are paying off in the future. If we never put that initial investment, we'll be constantly having struggles with our dogs. Dogs do not grow out of behaviors. They grow into bad behaviors. And that's another misstep that a lot of people take, is that they say, my dog will grow out of it. My dog will grow out of it. Just like dogs that pull on leash. People will always say, my dog will pull out of it. My dog will grow out of it. Dogs don't grow out of situations. You train them out of situations. So the key message that I would like to give to people, future dog owners, is take your time. Do your research. Don't rush this. These are long commitments that are over 10 years. And we want to have fun with our dogs. The point of getting a dog is to have friendship, to have companionship. I think in everybody's base, that will be, no matter why we buy a dog, whether it's working, a status symbol, an accessory, in reality, all we want is companionship from our animals. And we want to make sure that our relationships that we create with our dogs are proper and blossoming relationships that we have with our dogs, right? So the first thing we should always do, and what I recommend, is take a step back, really think about what you're doing, make sure that you have all your cards aligned and that you're doing the right thing, and then take your time and find an appropriate shelter and breeder, and do all the proper steps needed for this dog, this future dog, when it comes to finding the proper breeder, finding the proper facility, finding the right dog trainer before we get these dogs, and then going the course that's needed for these dogs. There's going to be bad and good times when we get dogs. They're living creatures. They have emotions just like us. Not every day is good for us. Not every day is good for a dog, but it's to continue trooping on and continue being there for your dog. I wish you good luck for your future research for your dog, because remember, that is step 1. See you in the next video.